So yesterday we were rambling about in terms of data literacy, and I think towards the end we had those two wonderful presentations, one from the Western Cape Department of Education and CPUT, the kind of collaboration that they are working on in terms of data literacy. And we also heard from the lecturer in mathematical sciences, that's Thomas Farah, who also articulated in a very good way the way that they are ensuring data literacy or information literacy skills in data science students. So we are beginning to hear about all these other literacies that should be infused into the curriculum. And when you think about visual literacies, when you think about is it digital literacy, information literacy, and so on, are we going to be able to convince the academy or the academics to add on more literacies into the curriculum? I don't know. But I think we should probably put our proposals there and see that are really critical. So I'm going to go through that, and then maybe at the end we can talk about that. So my first point really is the issue of the prevalence of data and analytics capabilities, including AI, artificial intelligence, requires that creators and consumers should speak data. You remember we're saying everybody who walks into the workplace, no matter what profession you are in a marketing department, you are in the retail department, or wherever. Let's consider the type of graduates that we churn out from our universities, and we are increasingly saying everybody must be able to speak some level of data. Not that everybody should become a data engineer. No, those are trained in the Faculty of Computer Science and so on. But the other in the social sciences, what is it that we can do to ensure that everybody has got an appreciation of data? So maybe before I go ahead, I can also just maybe let a secret out. So I've been talking to my deputy director to say I want to see data literacy in the curriculum. And I'm not seeing a lot of action yet. And I hope that after this presentation, there will be a little bit of action. But I think it takes time. It takes time to conceptualize what needs to be done. We cannot rush it in case we hit a lot of stumbles and so on. So I'm just going to talk about what are the current practices, not necessarily in this country, but what we are seeing emerging out of the global community in terms of data literacy. So data and analytics leaders must really champion the workforce data literacy, again emphasizing workforce data literacy as an enabler to digital business and treat information as a second language. So we are saying businesses are currently going through digital transformation, and part and parcel of that digital transformation is really the issue of data. You cannot talk about digital transformation if you are also not infusing the whole issue of data in there. So let's go to the description of data literacy so that we clearly understand what we are talking about. And data literacy, I took this from Gartner. We all know Gartner, and a lot of us we do subscribe to the Gartner platform. Data literacy is the ability to read, to write, and communicate data in a context, including understanding of the data sources, where the data is coming from, and construct analytical methods as well as techniques applied, and the ability to use in certain cases, and the application and the resulting value of that particular data. That's really what we mean by a data literacy. So data literacy in academic library training programs, what are we seeing at the moment? So I thought maybe I could talk about information literacy. We know that information literacy is well established, and we have got well established frameworks that we've been using, especially the framework for information literacy for higher education from the Association of College and Research Libraries. But there's also another area which is related to data, but not necessarily the data that I'm talking about now. And this is research data management. And I'm sure my colleague Nicholas and Sanjay is what they are going to talk about after my presentation. So when it comes to research data management, it's more about how to collect, manage, store, and reuse research data. And this is a completely different from the data literacy that I'm talking about. Okay, there are two distinct areas. So what we are finding is that within the research data management skills training arena, there hasn't really emerged what we can call established frameworks, like within information literacy. But we are beginning to see work that is going towards probably something that will emerge not very long from now. And most of the approaches that are being taken are really based on the research data life cycle. And my belief is that maybe from the many different training approaches on research data management skills, someday we'll come together and say, really, this is the established framework that is required within that arena. So I'm not going to pronounce some of the words there, but I took this from I took this from the from the Harvard Business Review, and they say the data scientist is what job of the 21st century, and this was in 2012. And not long ago, when I was just doing a preparation for this paper, somebody also produced another article that is data science is still the of the 21st century and so on. Was it just a bubble or whatever? So I don't know. But this is what they Harvard, we all know Harvard Business Review. They really conduct high level research, especially in industry and commerce, and bring out very viable articles and so on. So let's move on then to the focus of our workshop. And the focus of our workshop is really the workplace, industry rather. So maybe I think when we think about the third one, maybe we should replace the word workforce with industry, so that I think we don't confuse the issues that we're talking about, because our focus really is really the deployment of our graduates into industry and how prepared they are in terms of research skills and information literacy and so on. So I want to move on to this issue of the businesses and the power of data. We know that data is a reliable and a powerful business asset. Without data, a lot of businesses really cannot function properly, or their competitiveness is compromised and so on. And a lot of organizations are really striving to be data-centric. So what is happening? Well, it's either you have got an in-house team of data scientists, data analysts, data engineers, and so on, who are working on your data. Let's take Woolworths, for example. They probably have a team that works on their data. They deploy them. They want to look at the market trends. They want to see where the consumers are spending money. Are they spending more money now on bread, on meat, on cheese, and so on, right? So that's one approach. The other approach is that you hire a consulting firm. And there are so many of these consulting firms that have now propped up. If you do a search of data analytics firms, and what is happening is also that there is can I say, almost a stampede for the skills. Everybody is looking for data science skills. And what I've been reading is that the few that we are chaining out in this country are being quickly snapped up by international companies. And the way that they are doing it is that they don't have to take them to London, to New York, to Berlin, or whatever. No, they are employing them here and giving them very lucrative packages and so on. So that's really what is beginning to happen in terms of data analytics skills and so on. So again, when I come back to the whole issue of organization being a data-centric, what I'm talking about is the collection, maintenance of data on operations, on customers, on competitors, on the market, so that you can facilitate the whole process of data-driven decision making. We want to make decisions based on data. Even in our own work environments within the libraries, we are largely making decisions based on data, isn't it? We want to know what is happening in circulation. We want to know what is happening in the collections. We want to happen what is happening within the e-resource usage. We want to know what is happening with our personnel and so on. And the other day within our own CPUT, we were talking about how to develop possible dashboards that we can use, which are live, and anybody at any given time can go into those dashboards and extract the necessary data that you want for your daily work and so on to proceed in a smooth way. And the other issue also is working with and managing data. Also presents or prevents rather the loss of time because you've got the right information on your fingertips. It saves money. It creates opportunities as well for the organization. But it requires employees in all areas of an organization to be data literate rather. So that's really the crux of the matter, or the centrality of my presentation. So I've just also been doing a little bit of research to see and position the whole question of data literacy in industry. And what they are saying is that data literacy is going to be the most in-demand skill by 2030 as artificial intelligence transforms global workplaces. We had that presentation yesterday from what was his name, from Dubai, and he spoke about the transformation of the workplaces, and he spoke also about artificial intelligence and so on. But again, if you remember the question that I asked him about data, I think he then responded much later on. But there's no way that you can talk about artificial intelligence without talking about data. It's part and parcel of that. It has to be infused into that. So what are we seeing in terms of the data literacy skills? And I spoke about the shortages earlier on, and I think we all know what I'm trying to refer to. And these are our digital natives, our own kids in our own homes, and we are sort of deploying them out into industry, or letting them after they graduate and so on. But new research really suggests that despite all that they know, in terms of playing with the gadgets, whatever, our young digital natives, they really lack data literacy skills. And one study by Excel really shines the spotlight on the data literacy gap, affecting the 16 to 21-year-olds' readiness in terms of a data-driven future. And from that research, it's a global research, they are saying that only 43% of the respondents considered themselves to be data literate. And the other 55% of those respondents believed that data skills should be more prominent in their education. So we are finding that in the curricula, the data literacy skills or data literacy education, no matter what discipline it is missing, and there's need for that to be infused into the curricula. So the importance of data literacy in higher education, I thought also that is an important point that I should emphasize. The whole issue of emphasizing data literacy in the classroom will better prepare our students for life after graduation, just like information literacy does. And the four major reasons students should become data fluent are it makes communicating with technical teams far much more efficient because you are being precise, you are not rambling with words and so on, you are to the point. And it could also lead to an important role for those who are, becoming data literate as analytics translators. It could also increase employee value as well as the value of the organization if you are data driven. And it can also be critical in terms of future employment prospects. We were talking yesterday about what is it that employers are looking for? Are they looking for an advanced degree in whatever? No. It's no longer the case. When you go for an interview, they simply want to zero in on skills. Whether you have got 6, 7, 8, whatever, this from university of whatever, it's becoming increasingly irrelevant. They want skills. Can you work with data? Can you work with Python? Can you work with this and so on? And if you don't have those, you might as well go and put your pile of certificates and degrees into some archives because that's not what employers are looking for and so on. Okay, I'm a little bit exaggerating, but that is increasingly the scenario that whatever. Whether in libraries we are going to do that, we no longer want that masters of library and information science or whether that will come to our area, I don't know. But it could be a discussion point at some point. And then again, the concept of data literacy, how it is defined and what skills are fundamental is not yet standardized. That's what I was trying to say earlier on. And there are currently 3 focus areas. And we normally talk about data information literacy, but again, loosely defined. Research data literacy, maybe focusing more on research data management, and again, maybe frameworks are beginning to develop, and also science data literacy, especially in the arena of the whole question of working on data-intensive platforms in e-science and so on. And the difference really in terms of not getting a definitive decision of what we mean by data literacy. The difference have affected the efforts to identify data literacy competencies. And in information literacy, we know the standards are clearly defined and they are being used across the world and so on, right? So I think that's my view. That everybody who is in an undergraduate program should really have some kind of data literacy skills. And we tend to see that there's too much focus on graduate and postgraduate students because we think that they need those data literacy skills to maneuver through their research programs and so on and so on, forgetting that the undergraduate they also need a certain appreciation of data literacy skills. And again, the focus should also, in my mind, accommodate undergraduate student as well. So data information literacy skills are relevant even if students do not go on to do advanced degree. It's not everybody who wants to go and do a postgraduate or a master's and so on. You want to finish with that first degree. And at the end of that first degree, we are saying you must be prepared to go into industry. And one of the things that you must have is really data skills. So the majority of students receiving post-secondary education, they seek a bachelor's degree or an advanced diploma like we do in this university as their exit qualification. And these skills are critical to most aspects of business today. So I'm rambling on in terms of data literacy skills. And then what is the role? Then I think that is really one of the most important things. But as academic libraries, what is our role in all this talk about data literacy skills? And I think that the whole question of data literacy should be infused into information literacy or any other library instruction that we are currently undertaking. And there are so many other literacies that can be incorporated in information literacy, the whole question of digital literacy, visual literacies, and data literacy. That is the center of our talk. But there are no existing frameworks for digital and visual literacies, and the emergence of information literacy frameworks and the data information literacy being, or can I say, maybe coming together. I think it is very, very, very important that we consider how we can marry the two so that we approach it in a far much more coordinated way and so on. So what is coming out from current practices, and what we are seeing is that the areas of consideration in terms of data literacy competencies include understanding data, and to understand it in the various business contexts, and also how is data organized and how is it stored. We should be able to read, to teach how to read data, to interpret it, as well as evaluating that data and using data, and also the value of data in making decision making, and also communicating and presenting effectively with data, as well as the whole question of, which is I think is paramount, the whole question of data ethics and data security. So, if, for example, you are working for a private firm that is doing consultancy, and you are engaged by Discovery, for example, obviously there has to be a question of ethics in terms of how you handle that data. You are seeing people's data, but you are entrusted with it, and what kind of confidentiality or understanding that you have to sign, that you're not going to release information to the public when you are finished with doing those kind of reports to industry. So what we have seen emerging is the so-called data information literacy project. And this is a project that is currently going on. And we are beginning to learn from this data information literacy project. I think you can see this. It is also, I mean, this is very much on the internet. So within the data information literacy project, they've also proposed some kind of guidelines, but not frameworks, to start us off within the academic libraries. So there is data literacy in academic libraries. We are beginning to talk about it, and a lot of literature is being generated. And I think we should read more of it, so that I think we can then frame our future frameworks going forward. The other thing is that I think, as developing countries or whatever, we tend to rely too much on the Western developed frameworks. We never really have homegrown frameworks that talks to our own environments. And I think probably the whole issue of data literacy is an opportunity for us to consider that as a country, maybe as a region or whatever, we should come together and begin to talk to say, how can we infuse data literacy? How can we develop a framework that really suits this environment, rather than, I think, do whatever. Yes, we can learn from the global practices, but I think we also need to be very unique and not be driven by the other side of the globe. So there are stages, and again, I took this from this framework that can be considered. These are really standard steps in developing anything in terms of project planning or whatever. You do the planning, that is identifying the partners within the university. Again, maybe if I can emphasize that the whole question of data literacy, we cannot tackle it alone. In the university libraries, we really need partners. We need to collaborate, and I think some of us are probably even fortunate that we have got that Department of Mathematical Science. We've got Thomas Farah, who was here yesterday, who could really be a very good partner in terms of how we shape, design, and deliver a data literacy program, or we infuse it into the curriculum. And then also the whole question of how we develop the program, how we implement it, as well as how do we develop the assessments and evaluations for that particular component. I'm almost there. I think, was it 30 minutes? Okay, so all right. So I think one or two of the last slides it's then about developing data information literacy programs. Again, what is our role? Instead of starting with the opportunities, I thought maybe let's start with with the challenges. And obviously, when you talk about developing a data literacy program, it's a new area. There are a number of challenges. There are complexities in terms of integrating baseline competencies into existing programs. You know, the resistance of the lecturers, it's too much. There's no way that our students are going to be able to handle this extra thing. You know, the battles that we have fought with information literacy, and they're still going on. As much as we are integrated, but we are still facing challenges. When you think everything is all well and good and done, you hear somebody at Senate raising their hands, information literacy, and then we go back to the debate and so on. And then the time and space within those programs, will we be allowed to do that? So that's why I'm saying that there is a need to rethink the current information literacy, whether we can borrow another a bit of space there and infuse data literacy. I don't know, but we need to talk about it. And also limited influence in the development of existing programs, because as librarians, our influence in the programs that are being delivered within engineering, within informatics and design, within education is very limited. We really have to go begging to say, can we be part and parcel of this? Opportunities, obviously there are a lot of opportunities and we should seize them. And these include new partnerships with faculties in terms of core teaching. I think we saw what the the Western Cape Department of Education and the Faculty of Education in Wellington are doing. I think we should learn from that, the way that they are, can I say, shaping up our teachers to go into the schools. And also the whole question of developing new data literacy curriculum. I think it's a golden opportunity for us to be engaged in, as well as expanding existing library instruction programs. We have information literacy, we have this and that, but this is another addition that we can add to the whole suite of programs that we offer within our libraries. So, as a way of concluding, I thought maybe I'll just emphasize on a number of points that data literacy today is a competence as essential as information literacy, and the two are complementary and clearly form part of libraries' educational role in the furtherance of significant use of information resources to generate knowledge and innovate. Its inclusion in libraries' instructional programs is therefore justified. And to date, however, data literacy has not received much attention by libraries outside higher education, where it has aroused substantial interest driven particularly by e-science. So you remember what I'm talking about, research data management seems to have taken the, can I say, the cup in terms of data skills, but those data skills are very much focused on how to manage research data, not necessarily the other data that we are talking about.